I think we tend to believe that cross-dressing, trans issues are purely contemporary. Trans people absolutely existed in literature until you hit that Victorian era. Bang, they just seem to disappear. That's because of a tremendous fear at the time that if they allowed subversion in one area, it would infect everything else. And yet we do have a lot of evidence that trans people existed in the Victorian era. There was a whole trend of people playing with cross-dressing in the context of music hall. Audiences loved them. Trans people existed outside of music hall, existed in the real world. There was a bricklayer in Manchester, and when he died, it was discovered that physically he'd been female all along. And I found an article written about him. You might think the tone would be shock and horror, but in fact, it was really quite amused and sympathetic. I really love historical fiction, and I knew I wanted to write it. And I wanted a trans character. I wanted a role of the kind of person that I thought was really missing from the literature of the Victorian era. I wrote Leo initially as a B or a C character, but he kept hogging the limelight. I couldn't stop writing about him. So finally I thought, I'm going to let him take center stage. And I showed the eventual manuscript to some trans people who were fine with it. So I thought, screw it, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to write this novel about a man who solves crime and happens to be trans, full stop.